Hi, Diarmaid. Thanks for speaking with me today. We're having a chat with you ahead of your talk at CIO WaterCooler Live in London this November. In that talk, you're talking about transforming the NHS. You'll be focusing on how tech is improving the lives of ordinary people. Maybe you can briefly talk through some of the initiatives you're working on at the moment.
Sure. So I do two things kind of to start us off. One of the areas that we are very keen is remote monitoring. So we manage a very large service here across the whole of Sussex where we look after people with diabetes, type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes. And we send out diabetic specialist nurses to maybe vulnerable people to help manage their insulin injections and those kind of things. We're going to be doing a pilot very soon with an organization that can attach a Wi-Fi sensor to your arm with a reader that you can take back through your phone, and potentially our ambition is that a diabetic nurse can then access your graph as such of your sugar levels remotely, and that will basically mean that we can have a much stronger view of what's happening to that particular patient, but at the same time also only send our nurses out to help people when we really need to. And one of the key things that goes wrong with the old ways of doing things is that we might send out a nurse, you might take a blood reading when she's in the house with you, and it might tell her that your sugar levels are up or down, and that might be just because you had a donut 5 minutes ago and not necessarily be the real truth of the issue. So putting the data into a kind of a device means that we'll have a proper trace of your scenario. And on our early tests with this, we tried it out with just a couple of them, prove that we could visit a lot less, but actually improve the quality of life of the individuals immeasurably, because we could basically be much more judicious in how we then administered insulin to them and so on and so forth. So that's one example. Another example is less about kind of that kind of level of technology. It's more about the fact that we have thousands of or hundreds of nurses who we deploy right across the whole country, community nurses who visit into the houses of ill and elderly and frail individuals every single day. And it's a complex task of matching the right nurse with the right level of skill to the right patient with with a level of illness, and geographically deploying all these people across this whole area. So we've been using technology recently that we got from a supplier that's going to allow us to digitally kind of make the journeys the most efficient and the right person visit the right patient. And what we found from piloting that as well is that the amount of activity that a nurse can do has gone up quite a lot, and the efficiency of the whole organization has changed as a result. We're now testing that on a broader scale, but those are two examples of areas where we're using technology to change how we're able to cope with the people that we look after.
Thank you, Diarmaid. So I guess from a CIO perspective, this is it's pretty major change that you're trying to deliver across your unit within the NHS. What are some of the strategic principles that you embrace to deliver change of this scale?
Maybe less principles than maybe passion for me, because I've been doing digital for 25 years, is I believe strongly that we can use digital to kind of really digitally transform the way that organizations work and reimagine the type of services that we have, and take advantage of that connectivity, that data and so on, to really kind of reimagine and rethink the way that we try to work. So that's a personal principle that I apply. I think from an organizational perspective, it's a lot about trying to get people to be comfortable with that and not be afraid of it, and learning that's something that they can use to try to change. In the organizations that have been around for as long as the NHS, that are steeped in the traditions and the ways of working that the NHS is, it's quite a difficult cultural change journey to get people to go through. But if you engage and you find ways to have that conversation correctly, you can help those organizations embrace it. And they do so because in the large part, many people have embraced that kind of stuff in their own personal lives. So you just need to try to draw that parallel to, how do you do your online banking? How do you do your online travel? How do you do your online shopping? Why can't we have that similar kind of efficiency of service into the way that we deliver our services as well?
Fantastic. Diarmaid, thank you so much for sharing your passion and your work, your projects at the moment. We're looking forward to seeing you at CIO WaterCooler Live in London this November. And thank you again.
My pleasure.